Thank you so much for joining me. So for Libra, Saturn is not really a journey that we like, but at least we trust it and we get it, and we realign ourselves very simply when we see a Saturn person and we know what Saturn is about. So authorities, figures of control, symmetry, physical structures. Libra is the only inanimate sign, as it is the scales. It's not an animal or a human. And it wants to basically know things now. It wants to be prepared. It wants to know better. I suggest looking at Libra also from like a certain state of resilience and diligence, not just their kind of, oh, I don't know, indecision or their state of obsession sometimes. It's not just that. They're actually very resilient people. It's just that sometimes they don't know yet that, and they don't want to give people the idea that they're very strong, because it's like a little karmic for them to stand out more than they have to. So that is why sometimes people think Libra is like this sort of frilly little person just chatting, because they don't sometimes know how to really fully tell you who they are, what they think or feel, or they can't fully express themselves, as it's the only inanimate sign. And for that reason, Saturn is a great friend. You might really get on with people that have a lot of Saturn anyway, because Libras understand it. And I don't think they fear it. I think most Libras, unless they have a very fiery trine, like Leo, Aries, Sag trine, or some like Mars and Libra conjunct Sun, conjunct Mercury, or something like that, unless you have a very, very escapist chart, you probably would definitely understand what Saturn means. And I don't think that many people really sometimes fully understand you or care for you unless you know who you are. And in my rule book, or how I see life, I believe that Libra is partially Saturnian. So sometimes a sign would have double or even triple influences. For example, to me, Scorpio is Martian, as it is also, Plutonian, sure, and it's also kind of Uranian. So, for example, people say, okay, the sun rules Leo. You can't have the center of the galaxy rule Leo, but okay, I mean the center of the solar system rule a sign. That's crazy. But okay, to me it's also very Plutonian. For example, people that have Pluto in the first house have cat-like features, for example. Pluto-based charts are very cat-like. But that's interesting, like nobody really knows, nobody wants to hear it, and that's probably because people enjoy things the way that they are. And in my case, I also believe that Libra is, yeah, sure, it's Venetian, but to me it's also very Saturnian, because there's like a certain type of give and take, and there's always going to be order, measure, symmetry, and balance to any Libra, because that's what they inheritingly believe, or they innermost being wants that. So for all of us Libra, having this very, very weird Saturn going through Pisces is just not going to be easy to forgive and forget. It's just not going to be. It's going to be the sixth house. Saturn is going to be so hard to see people for who they really are. It's going to be hard to talk to people unless they get you the result that you really want. I feel that also some people are going to be really hard on you for the results that you're providing. So, for example, if Libra is working in the medical field or any kind of industry, should you get a dosage wrong, should you do anything out of whack, it's going to be a very, very hard way back to where you were. So, for example, primitive thinking patterns and simple ideas are going to work here, because it is so hard to know the responsibility that is there, your job, for example, or the process that you have to go through in order to succeed. It is just so, so difficult for some Libras to be able to also understand other people unless they get things right. So if you are working in these really like hard-nosed industries, for example, if you are working also like with kids, even if you're like a painter or like an artist, it's just going to be so easy for you to get stroppy, and for other people also to get a little bit weird with you because of something that you just don't know how to do. That's something that I feel is very back to front, and you have to understand that people don't necessarily need you there. Also, if there is a lot of no, give me this, I'll do it. No, 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 you did it wrong. No, I'll do it better. So if you like ever competed with your brother and sister or sister, and you know, you told each other off for doing something wrong, or if you're constantly competing in your partnership, like with your husband or wife, over who gets to cook and what you're doing. Oh my God, you didn't do the dishes, and how dare you, you left the kitchen table unclean, and you know, how dare you, like, say you didn't flush the toilet properly. Like, all of that stuff gets you so worked up that you won't believe how little people care eventually, and it's very easy to be in a very cold and silent space eventually, while you thought you were doing the best you could. So the idea basically is not to stress. Sixth house is a very constrictive house. It's a very responsibility burdened house, and for a lot of people actually it is also the house of digestion and organs. My God, it's so hard to also believe in you for other people, because they have become expectant of you. It's not just that, they've become considered not really people. So it's like lacking of warmth, like there's no warmth in the sixth house. So that means that your body, your digestive system might get really sore, or like feeling worse, or feeling aged, or feeling tired. And then you're basically putting more into it and trying to make it work. And also can be using certain chemicals. You might actually have to use certain chemicals, like medicines, for example, chemically derived, artificially derived medicines, to be able to fix your body. That's really sucky. That really sucks. But then we have to basically understand how to be you, and how to be beautiful, and how to be classic, and how to be, you know, socially exquisite. The worst thing is like fiery, emotional, sensitive, irritated, scared, faithless Libra, curled up in a ball, crying about their life. Making friends and then breaking those friendships because somebody said something at the kitchen table. Nobody liked them, and turns out their father was mean to them, or like their boyfriend shouldn't have said this or that. You know, all of those petty, like tiny little stories can destroy life to the point where you can be brought down to your knees. So like breakups, conglomerates, not in a good way, like bad ones, you know, conglomerates of people not trusting you, or people not wanting to be around you. Also, the word spreads really fast. People finding out, it's like, oh, she said this, or like, wow, this guy thinks that, really? Especially judgment of other people and their territory and their children and their business. So basically, the worst thing basically is becoming isolated because of very strong views and ideas, even though they are correct. No, this is not how you do it. Now, let me show you how it's done. That kind of authoritarian questioning and relationships when it comes to people can be very dark. And for some Libras, it doesn't really work this way, and I do get it. Like, some of us don't care so much, it just hurts, you know. It's like, you got to feel lucky just because I rolled out of bed today. But this doesn't protect you from harm, because we are talking Saturn. Saturn is not really a best friend, even though you get it. Libras understand what Saturn is. It's still a heavy sign, and nobody's immune to it. Everybody has a little bit of that heaviness and sulkiness in their body or in their heart. In the world, nobody's immune to Saturn. Even really optimistic people, as I've said in the previous reading for somebody, really optimistic people, for one of the signs, that just laugh at everything. Yes, they can dilute the power of Saturn. Optimism and just being lucky and aggressive and emotional can help you out, but it won't clear the whole pressure, or the whole, basically, gaze of Saturn. Saturn won't be cleared from a chart. You can't just leave it. You can't just switch it off. You can't just imagine it not happening to you. But yeah, as I said, for Virgos, like, it's really lucky because they have 7th house Saturn, so it's opposite to them. But it's still questions. You know, it's still questions. It's a big question of respect, big question of worth, everything like that. So for you guys, I think it would be better to neurologically prepare for quite a lot of jumpiness and wanting to get things right. And I do believe that being right and doing good is important. And yet at the same time, just allow room for accidents, allow the pressure to fade. Even if you are like the best yoga teacher in class, even if you are fully amazing like at what you do, even if you are like absolutely the best right now at how you are seeing yourself, even if you are like one of the best professionals in your field, it's a very, very hard time to tell people off and also to tell people no, to teach them the hard way, to push on them, to ravage them, to emotionally distance them from you, because we don't know how to fix those mistakes later. So a little screaming fight at home can cost you your everything. You can be crossed out very fast. You can be soon without a home or money or other things, you know. So people's foundations are dependent on a lot of the conducts that are happening in sixth house, Saturn passing. It's just such a hard time for some people to be also able to offer you help. Because I feel that some Libras won't take the help, or they expect more, or they don't care about what other people can give, or they dismiss themselves from certain stories, or they possess other people to say and do what they don't necessarily want to say and do. It's not a very comfortable feeling. It's like a screaming fight type of thing. It's like we had a big fight over how many teaspoons of sugar should go into a coffee. We had a screaming fight over which way the toilet paper roll goes. So these like tiny little things annoy you, and they will never end, or they will never change, or they will, but you will just not have the same comfort and space with your loved ones. Being broken, being hard on yourself, you know, being at work, doing so much, doing everybody's job at the same time, wanting to be everybody's mom, cooking and cleaning, errands and tasks. Nobody really wants you to be that, but there are lots of people that really do like it when you are put down that way. So that's a cultural thing. There's some people that love to see a woman struggle. They do. Some people love to see a man hard at work, and they don't believe anything else is possible. So it's like when we wake up, I mean, I suppose as a people will see, like all this indoctrination has gone too far, and people don't understand why people exist unless they basically take everybody's workload and go do it themselves. So that big karma of work and having to work things out for other people has to end basically. And if you're part of a religion or a collective psyche that everybody should do as much as they can, and a person has to, you know, constantly be sweating to be able to earn their keep, or to be part of the people, to be part of the world, that needs to end. So that's a huge injustice. And also just to understand it now, that you don't actually have to keep any of these friends that are making you do things that you just kind of, sorry, like I can't do it. That feeling of tiredness, or the controversy of not wanting to do it suddenly, is quite a big deal. So that also has to do with people that have overworked it for such a long time, people that wanted to make money more than they wanted to live, people that wanted to experience some kind of praise more than they wanted to experience life and the grace of day, and also people that don't believe they it's like they don't it's like they don't want to be happy unless they get certain things done. It's very kind of like scary. There's like a expression anal, like very anal people. So what that means basically, people that are very you know, like very stuck in their views and very, very dismissive of other people's views, and they only have their own truth, and they're very stubborn basically, or they just have no other way of seeing life than the way that they believe it. That becomes very untherapeutic. The whole part of Libra that makes it an interesting sign is the grace, the harmony, the beauty, and the peace, and not really needing to be anybody or anywhere or anytime. They kind of don't see it, but like one of the most beautiful, fragile states that people are experiencing with Libras is also that dismissive energy that they offer. So it's kind of like, who cares? Like, I don't care, I don't care. It's like a cleansing to be next to a Libra when they don't care and they don't really like, they don't even really like anything or anybody. They just feel like kind of like a little bit nothing, like they don't feel anything. That passivity or that real compassion actually in some ways is very, very detrimental to a Libra for social success or just life success in general. Even their health depends on passivity and non-achievement. Imagine non-achievement, not caring what university you go to, not caring what type of job you have. Yes, I did say that there is something official about a Libra and they like official figures sometimes. It's just so nonchalant, and that relaxed energy, that symmetry that you get to your being when you just don't care and you cannot even imagine caring, cannot do wrong. So the idea is basically, especially if you have your Sun in Libra, just to let it go and just say, like, honestly, I don't understand it, I don't care, I don't want to do it, I'm not interested, if that is the case. And if you're really, really interested in you, that will be probably better than if you were truly interested in them. And trying not to be the talk of the town anymore, not being popular on purpose. It's like either you are or aren't popular. It's not about making people want to be your friends. It's not about making people want you to be popular. It's about the opposite. It's like having a simple, perfect way of life where you just doing your thing, you're getting on with your day, and by some very, very simple magic, you become a popular person because you're very simple. So the idea is to preserve that suave, cool, nice, simple respect that people give you, to say nothing sometimes rather than saying everything at once, to be there, that kind of lazy person that doesn't necessarily have to clean or wash or cook or say anything. You don't have to work so hard. But there is a way that some people are not going to want to be around you if you are not diligent or productive. And there are going to be lots of jobs that are also going to be unavailable, and lots of workplaces that are just like, nah, that is bad quality. I'm not paying for this. If you've produced something before that was very good quality and you've done a very good job on it, try to make it the same as what you've done. It's a very easy job to do probably. If you have already made a lot of friends and a lot of success by doing something well, maybe there are not that many people that may believe in you, and maybe there are not so many people that might help you with other things, you know. So if you are doing things well, there's like one phenomenal thing you can do. Try not to play around. Like, okay, so you know what you're doing, you're really perfect at something, you're really good at something. Try to polish on that, because I'm seeing that a lot of Libras are just going to get so burnt out and tired and angry and frustrated otherwise. But there are certain types of Libras that are going to innovate and be fine with it. But innovation doesn't come at a cost. It shouldn't. So like when you are neutral enough, and maybe when you see yourself very well, you'll understand where innovation lives. But for quite a lot of other people, they're going to be maybe no people but you responsible for certain things. My God, responsibility, being responsible for somebody else's life, being responsible for their worth, you know, for their work. My gosh, what can we do to get out of it? Like, what can we do to get out of this hopelessness, this dryness, this obsession with detail, other people wanting you to show up where you don't even want to be? Try to make it simple. Like, what would make the most relaxed type of life at the moment? Like, how can you do things not to get into people's faces and not to have fights with them for nothing? What can you do? What can you offer to your community or to the people around you that is as alkaline, cool, and safe as possible? How can you maybe also dress, or how can you behave that would make it a simple, normal, and neutral life? Anything function-based. And yeah, also, why not get into the habit of good eating, good sleeping, you know, like hugging it out when you're feeling emotional, not having to cry so much, you know, trying to find ways to dilute that stress or that trouble. But then there's going to be a lot of people, so many people that are not going to be feeling anything. They're not going to be around you if you don't freak yourself out, basically. So, yeah, I think that lots of people love a stressed out Libra sometimes. Maybe they've expected you to be stressed out. They enjoy it when you are rushing. Um, I know that there are some cultures that are based on stress and that love a scared, uncomfortable person. And when you really wake up and grow up and you basically don't go anywhere that makes you freaked out, stressed out, nervous, sweaty, angry, frightened, and you just leave all of that, which is promising you something, at a price of stress or at a price of hard work. You just, not necessarily hard work, it's just like unnecessary emotions. You're just like, okay, look, you guys, this is too much trouble for me. You know, this is so much trouble for me. Like, I really don't need it. I don't care about it. I honestly can't care about it. That's going to give you a lot of worth, pride, and courage later on. But there are going to be some big failures. There's going to be huge, like, relationship failures. There's going to be friends, like, falling out. For some people, there's going to be job commitments completely crossed out, even to the point where you can't ever enter that door again because you can't be bothered being their food. You can't be bothered being part of the mania. If you want, you can realize where you're working a lot, where you're actually doing something that you don't need to do, where you're so angry, when you're so karmic for yourself because you're always wanting to say cook and clean for everybody else and you're trying to organize everything and then you start hyperventilating and sweating and your hands are shaking. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we don't want to ever experience in our lives. That's the kind of medley of energy that gets you put back. Like, for example, being arrested or being in weird situations, also having your children get up to no good. Why? It's because it's just so karmic. Like, there's just so much fear, there's just so much emotions, there's just so much agony over nobody, over nothing. And some of us, yeah, we've come from slices of society and families, obviously, that needed that. And some people get groomed into becoming nervous wrecks because their parents loved it so much, obviously. No, because their parents didn't know how to be. And a lot of children, when I look at their upbringing, like their parents screaming at them, raising their voice, or the activities that children have to go through for learning is just extraordinary to me. I'm like, you guys are crazy. But that's where people are from, you know. So if you are somebody also that has felt left behind until you were crying, like you had to publicly cry in front of somebody to be taken seriously as a kid, you know, or you had to mean so much and do so many things for everybody to be able to be taken seriously as a part of the family, or you had to work for everybody, you had to work it out yourself, you had to sweat, you had to push, you had to mind your own business, and this here and this there. So family rules and family systems, they have to be closed down, and that's very scary, I suppose, also for me to witness that majority of people that I also see in the free world living eco-friendly existences that have, you know, been kind of tarnished a bit by, you know, the modern world, and they decided to have free lives, they still do it. They're still freaked out, they're still scared, they're still playing little social games, they're still trying to have experiences that are not normal, they're still judging each other, still doing the same stuff that they were doing in the cities. That's really hard for me to see. And then basically, I think what we have to go through is we got to like basically end or disconnect those repetitive friendships and solidities that we have with people that don't bring us anything but sweat and tears and fear and stress and scarcity, being at work all the time, being employed, having to say things a certain way, getting nervous in front of another person, constantly being in relationships with people that don't treat you very well, or being part of a story that is just based in somebody else's pragmatic thinking patterns and not having any of your own. And a lot of that which happens at home, like how you hold a spoon, you know, how you use a toilet paper, you know, like all of this, like how dare you do this, you know, all of this is just bullshit. It's just bad. It's just badness, and we got to like step out of it, you know, this total like police state stuff, you know, it's all just policing each other. Like, why do we have these crazy governments and things? Just look at what happens like in proximity with children, like since they're born. Like, look at how they get taught to live, and look at their parents, and there's just like overabundance of like cortisol, like stress hormones and weird things, and health issues come out of just really unsightly thinking patterns and practicality issues. And those of us that I suppose conscious and fully self-established and developed, like we don't want to do any of that. Like somebody ever, should that ever be, tell me off for something, I'll just do it anyway. I'll do it anyway. But it's not necessarily about, how can I say, being a rebel. And it's not really asked for you to be a rebel instead of this kind of tight ass, as they say. I think it's just about making your own way, seeking your independence, looking after your gut health. You know, so if you want to be fully independent, it's not just about like having a bank account full of money or having friends that know who you are and, you know, trying to help them, but also kind of like getting on with life and doing something the world has never seen. It's not just, nothing to do with that. It's actually just being healthy blatantly, and most people aren't. I don't really know many healthy people. I've never really met like a fully healthy person in my life. I think that health starts from the body, of course, obviously, and the guts, and the nervous system follows the mind. The mind is maybe indoctrinated, but in parts are just repeating and repeating and repeating what it had to do, had to say ages ago, it never did it, and all of those different psychotic phenomena are very, very actually simple to see, but it's just so hard to actually take it, how can I say, take the matters into your own hands and to start solving your problems. And I think most Libras won't ever solve any problems. They just think it's about being reactive, or it's about their friends knowing who they are, or it's about something like their friends or their partners, or it's like that guy over there, or how dare he or how dare she. Like, I think that most people are just lost in this little obsession with faces, and, you know, this face being responsible for this, and that person did this, and Putin this, and Hitler this, and I don't know, the Russians and the Ukrainians, and this, and that crazy person, look at this, you know, and then eventually they basically get older, and that's all they got. That's really easy for me to see now, but I couldn't see that because that's exactly how I got brought up. It would be so easy for me to say this now, but I think it would be very hard for people to understand that your gut health is that's it. Like, your gut health, the bacteria in your gut, the microbiome, you know, is the only thing really, you know. Wealth, health, and sophistication. Like, how sophisticated is your life technology isn't necessarily because you have a automatic garage door and your fridge has 2 doors, and, you know, and then, like, say you have the best iPhone in the world. Like, it's not like that. It's like, it's not technology. It's not what you say. It's not what you do. It's not how wealthy you are. It's not about how many people you know. Some of it is like that if you are really that way inclined, but like the only thing that could actually help you is long-term understanding and nurture of your own body and your being, and not spitting and scattering your energy around. If you work on yourself or you work on your body, if you basically perfect your diet and your inner hygiene, you won't have any of these problems that I'm seeing for you guys now. If you wanted to, you could always ask me about the types of foods that I eat, or what I see would be best suitable for you, whatever stage of life you're in, whatever is your diet choice today. And looking at supplements and micro nutrients, because people can't just keep on eating junk food and behaving accordingly. People are very, very toxified, and there's so many people that don't want to learn or teach themselves anything new. They're like, I like my bologna sandwich, go away. And it's like, okay, cool. So I suppose like that's where I come in as a healer later on in my life, I suppose, because I honestly don't see the point sometimes in talking about these things. It's like you have to feel it, and I think there is such a big like battle between people. It's like little boys or girls playing sword fight, with their minds, which is definitely going to happen in these coming years, also with Pluto going in Aquarius. It's not about having a biological fight either. It's not about having a fight of words or fight of religious or, I don't know, practical beliefs. But the reason I think that all of this chaos is going on is just like simple, like people's bodies are just struggling. Like most people I see in my life are just riddled with parasites and bugs, and they don't know how to process the stuff that they eat or think or feel. And if you have 6th house Saturn, it is by default a perfect time to get rid of it, basically, just to know, okay, wait, I can't eat this. What is this? Oh, that's giving me a headache. Or why am I drinking so much coffee? Or like, wow, what am I taking? Like, what are these medicines or supplements really doing for me? So I think it's very important for people to clear their bodies and to start working out also age-old problems, like say heart palpitations, weird feelings, also if people in your family have had certain bacteria, certain debris, they probably would have passed on the same habits to you, and trying to basically take that chance to change your life. That is something that I've done for many years, and it's been the only true investment I think that I've ever made in my life. University, moving, career choices, love, yeah. Like the only true choice, real choice I've ever made that I'm standing by is using plants, like detox plants, and other options to be able to basically get through some stagnation in the body and keep on pulling seriously, like keep on pulling parasites and, different types of issues from it, and just keep on going. It's not just about, okay, I took a parasite pill, I guess I'm cured. Nah, this is like I'm 37 now. I'm 37. This is like years of work. Years of work, years and years and years. It's like knowing how to eat, knowing how to feel, recalibrating the brain. If you want to make these 2.5 years the main chunk of your self-betterment, it's not about if you wash the cup or if you put the cutlery away properly. It's not about what you're saying and how it sounds. It's not about what you're doing with your life. It's not about how magic you are because you help other people. It's actually just about pulling those illnesses out of your body. 6th house is the house of health, and I do understand that when it comes to function, Virgo house, 6th house, yeah, lots of people are like, oh, la 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 la, this is how you do it. This is the process. It's about processes, yeah. The main process you have is your digestive process. That's the main process. If you don't have that now, don't worry. Like, I'm not trying to scare you. When people don't have any heart or they don't have any self-esteem, sometimes it's something in their bowels actually that is happening. And also as somebody who's had quite a lot of illnesses since I was born, being born also not very well, not in good health from the get-go. It was very hard for me, like say my first few years of life, just really difficult. Then of course I was fed the Slavic diet of just meat and pork and some vegetables, very small amount of vegetables like potatoes and pasta and cheese, and you work it out, you know. And having health problems all through my family line, especially my dad's side, it can feel like you are in like a locked cycle, and it will just always repeat. So if you have like unhealth or anti-health in your family, it's not going to be feeling like you can get it unlocked or you can get it undone. You can't unpick it yourself, of course. Obviously, you have to know somebody who knows what they're doing with these different substances, these plants and these detoxes. But like, never fear, because it starts with the first step, as they say. And fortunately for us all, in the world, there are many, many books on this. There are many, many people. There are many nutritionists. Yeah, there's also Chinese herbalism. There's also South American herbalism, like that of Peru. Okay, there are lots of countries in the world that really have a lot of treasure of knowledge when it comes to certain herb species and supplements. So basically the idea is not to stagnate on who washed the cup and why does she say that and who the hell is this guy, like all of this nervous tension that I expect for you guys for the next like at least a year and a half. That's going to be all over after you start taking responsibility and work on your own inner self and your physical biological system, literally, and then change the life of others if you want, you know. So eventually I think yeah it's just like anything else is just la 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 la. Anything else is la la la. Cleaning, cooking, forcing, driving, teaching, managing, showing up, day to day, day and night, you know, all this function, la la la, you know, la la la. So inner health first. Try to make your body and your psyche your priority. Everything else, just don't treasure it, basically. You know, some of the people with the worst health, they're so scared of their bodies that they try to deter the attention from their body all the time, seeking media and art and things to say and different things, you know, stuff outside, because it's so scary inside. So try not to go for it with others where it comes to like promising things and being little cliques and groups and service-based. Very easy to have service-based relationships. You know, like you think you're the best friend of somebody, but now they've actually got some work for you to do. You know, and then basically to close it, like to close down, close shop, pack up and not be there. It's very difficult also for me to know that, like say a lot of my relationships and service-based stuff was just because I wasn't sure as to what was going on with me. You know, and then yeah, like that needs to also be eventually seen. Like a lot of us struggle from, like, for example, fungal infections or different types of bacteria overgrowth, and we think, I'm needed here, I have to be here, I gotta try, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. It's very, very scary. Like, it's actually very, very difficult to see. Many people in the world are just very unwell and they're very scared, and their actions and thoughts and conglomerates and what they do with their life is just crazy, you know. But like sometimes all they have to see is just like the state of their inner bacteria and their gut health. They have to just basically see what they've been doing with their life, been doing with their world. But not everybody is that pure-hearted. Some people prefer to have a fight over the internet, for example, than have a look at what's inside going on with their liver, you know. Or they prefer to have a little secret and run around with somebody that they don't even probably like that much, rather than understand what is happening in their reproductive organs, for example. So the whole body knows some things off. Most people I know are just honestly, like, I don't know how they go, how they're going. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't understand. But that's not like about me and how I feel about other people's health, obviously. That's not like the point of this video. I suppose the video is basically trying to deter you from doing so much stuff and being part of so much things, having to be part of a process, having to work so hard, having to keep on going, and rather like look within, because I think a lot of these problems you're trying to multitask and solve are actually just your own inner being asking for help. So that was it. Thank you so much. It's a little bit of a tough time for some Libras, but I hope that you get through and that you learn a lot during this time. Bye.